Hello, welcome to the literary and jury charge portion of the 60 class. We're going to finish up an article that I started the last class, and this is called 6 Worst Health Mistakes Women Make. And I'm going to pick up right where we left off and then move on to something else, okay? Here we go. Ready? Part of the problem is that doctors and their female patients sometimes have difficulty recognizing that coronary heart disease symptoms typically seen in women, shortness of breath, intermittent pain at rest, may differ from the classic symptoms seen in men, such as crushing chest pain and pain down the left arm. One way women can protect themselves, get complete information about cholesterol levels. Women with high total cholesterol due to high HDL, the good cholesterol, may not have an increased risk of coronary artery disease. On the other hand, some women with only slightly elevated cholesterol levels may have a high LDL, the bad cholesterol, and therefore be at increased risk. Putting off pap smears. Many women know they should have this screening test for cervical cancer regularly. Yet, according to experts, about 1 in 4 women haven't had a pap for at least 3 years. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists recommends yearly pelvic exams for women who are or have been sexually active or who have reached the age of 18. Some experts feel that low-risk women can safely wait up to 3 years between tests, but skipping annual PAPs is chancy for higher risk women, such as those with multiple sexual partners. Ignoring calcium. 1 in 2 women over age 50 will suffer an osteoporotic fracture. These include the spinal breaks that cause the dowager's hump and hip fractures that can lead to death. To prevent osteoporosis, take steps now. A woman's bone mass peaks by about age 30. After that, it decreases. a slight amount every year until menopause, when the loss accelerates. The higher you start your peak bone density, the better off you are, explains Dr. Aline Hoffman, Director for Education at the Women's Health Program at Mount Sinai Medical Center. The National Academy of Science recommends 1,000 milligrams of calcium each day for women ages 19 to 50, including pregnant and lactating women, and 1,200 milligrams for women ages 51 and over. 2 cups of skim milk and an 18-ounce carton of yogurt together provide about 1,000 milligrams. Not knowing family history. Knowledge of which diseases run in your family, especially those that developed before age 50 in first-degree relatives, such as parents and siblings, can sometimes help determine which tests a woman may need and when. For example, a woman has about a 1% lifetime risk of developing ovarian cancer. However, the risk jumps to 5 to 9% for women whose mother or sister had the disease. Such women usually are counseled to have a blood test and ultrasound screening every year, in addition to regular pelvic exams. Similarly, knowing if breast cancer runs in your family can help you decide when to begin mammograms. Experts usually advise women to start having yearly mammograms 5 to 10 years earlier than the age a first-degree relative developed breast cancer, but generally not before the mid to late 20s. The last but most important part is skipping exercise. You say no time? Regular exercise is one way to save time, since it gives you more energy for the rest of your day. In addition, it fights stress, lowers the risk of a slew of diseases, and boosts overall health. It also promotes weight loss, making for one less thing to worry about. Health experts recommend 30 minutes of physical activity most days of the week. Even things like housework, walking, and gardening count. Muscle strengthening exercises are also very important. Okay, I will stop there. And I have some jury charge. This is called heard in court. Here we go. Ready? I am concerned about the points raised by Mr. Gilmore. First, a robbery is a robbery whether property is taken from the person or the immediate presence of the victim. Immediate presence does not require that the property be taken within the actual presence of the victim. A property can be taken within the same house from one room to another as soon as one act, which is endemic to the robbery, takes place in the presence of the victim. Then the property is deemed to have been taken within their immediate presence. Secondly, Mr. Gilmore says that there is no sequence of events. I disagree strongly with that. I think that we certainly did present a strong suspicion as to what the sequence of events was. At the hearing, we had Mr. Stanley saying that Brian left his house and therefore must have arrived at his own house somewhere between 3 and 3:10 in the afternoon. If you recall, he said that Brian left his house saying that he was going home. The boys live right across the street from each other. So, if that is to be believed, Brian got home between 3 and 3:10. The car was seen parked behind the Duncan house at 3:15 to 3:30, and it appears that Tom Wilson saw the car at approximately 3:15. Thus, if we adopt this sequence of events, Brian was already in the house when Snyder got into that house, intent on robbery. Thus, it would be hard to believe that Snyder, in fact, took all of the property out of the house and then in some way confronted Brian Duncan. Why would he? He would have left the house and there would have been no need for a confrontation. Over and above that, entry was made via the master bedroom window. Okay. Got a selection here called an invitee. Okay, here we go. The first issue for your determination on the claim of the plaintiffs is whether at the time and place of the incident complained of, the plaintiffs were invitees on the premises owned by or in the possession of the county. A person is an invitee on land or premises when an owner or the person that is in charge asks them to enter or remain there for a purpose directly or indirectly connected with the business of the owner or possessor or connected with business dealings between the visitor and the owner or possessor as distinguished from benefit or convenience merely to the visitor. Such a person remains an invitee as long as he or she uses the premises in the customary manner or in a manner which the owner or possessor of the premises might reasonably have expected, and at a place where the visitor was invited or where he or she was permitted to be, or where he or she might reasonably have been expected by the owner or possessor. Okay, so now I'm going to read you this one more time, but I'm going to pick it up at 80, okay? I'm just about a minute longer. Ready? The first issue for your determination on the claim of the plaintiffs is whether at the time and place of the incident complained of, the plaintiffs were invitees on the premises owned by or in the possession of the county. A person is an invitee on land or premises owned by or in the possession of another when he or she is invited or permitted to enter or remain there for a purpose directly or indirectly connected with the business of the owner or possessor, connected with business dealings between the visitor and the owner or possessor, as distinguished from benefit or convenience merely to the visitor. Such a person remains an invitee as long as he or she uses the premises in the manner or in a manner which the owner or possessor of the premises might reasonably have expected, and at a place where the visitor was invited, or whether he or she was permitted to be, or where he or she might reasonably have been expected by the owner or possessor. Okay, that concludes our jury charge and literary for the 60 class. Have a great day.